Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Oldish TV. As always, my name is Karen, and it is my pleasure to be your host. Today, we're going to look at some letters that I've received. Email. Letters sounds very old fashioned, doesn't it? Snail mail. No, these are actually emails that were sent to me by readers. I get a few of those the odd time. I get comments on the posts that we do on the Oldish Facebook site, but I also get emails sent to me through the contact form at theoldish.com. If you haven't been there and read all those articles, you should. They're fantastic. But there are 3 emails that I've received in the last month or 5, 6 weeks. They all seem related, so I thought I'd make a show out of them because if these 3 people took the time to write to me, then more of you are thinking about this stuff and facing challenges with these sorts of issues. So let me begin with the first one. I'm not going to use any names. Don't worry. Anybody who's out there who wrote to me, I'm not going to use your names because I really do feel that a lot of these concerns are shared by a lot of people. The first one is this. My best friend died a few months ago. My condolences to you. My neighbor is jumping out of an airplane for her 70th birthday, and my kids think I should never sell the family home. I have no idea what to do. That's the first one. The second one, my daughter wants me to come and live with her and her husband, but I have a full life, lots of friends, and don't want to give that up to move an hour and a half away from here. But my daughter is concerned. And the third one asked about a topic I speak about from time to time. You talked about buying a condo. I'm trying to decide if that's a good thing for me to do. Can you tell me how you picked one? These are all connected. And yet, it's so interesting because we all experience aging differently. Our aging experience is our own. To compare it to someone else, to look for guidance about how someone else does it and try to copy them because you want what they have, or you think that you should do what they've done. We did a whole show on you should and removing that from your life. Just look back in the archives. Anyway, don't do that. Don't look at other people and think that that's the prescription for how you need to manage your aging process. It is all so different. So in the first letter, this person's best friend died a few months ago. I'm going to assume that they were age mates or relatively so. And you can see that just from that, some of us have a longer lifespan, others a shorter lifespan. Illness and disease intervenes. So, to look at somebody else's experience and then be fearful about what your own future may hold, it brings up negative thinking. And I never think that thinking negatively is a good thing. It's almost like wishing for bad things to happen when you focus and think about negativity. My neighbor's jumping out of an airplane for her 70th birthday. Well, I have known people who have done that at various times in their life. I think maybe the oldest one was a family friend who jumped out of a plane out on the West Coast for her 80th birthday. God bless them. I'm terrified of heights. You will never catch me jumping out of an airplane for fun. Not what I see as fun, but this person obviously had a bucket list and thought that that was the thing to do. Good for her or him. I don't know who the neighbor was. My kids think I should never sell the family home. Okay, so let me talk about that piece. Your kids, how you relate to your kids. And by kids, aren't we just all talking about older adults? I mean, your kids could be in their 40s or 50s or even 60s. They're hardly kids anymore, but we always think of them as kids, don't we? Let's start with the premise that your kids worry about you. All of our adult children worry about us being alone and the what ifs. What if mom falls? What if dad has a car accident? What if, what if, what if? And they mean it in a helpful way, I think, for the most part. Certainly other people have different experiences around their relationships with their adult children. So not going to go there. Not going to go there at all. But for the majority, our older children worry about us. So what's the solution? Communication. We've talked about this before as well. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Make sure you understand what their concerns are. And really, you do need to take steps to mitigate whatever their concerns are. Particularly if you're somebody who tends to be influenced by them, shall we say? If you tend to be a bit more subservient, maybe that's a better word rather than influenced. If you think that, well, they're right, so I should do what they say, but at the same time you resent the fact that you feel that you have to do what they say. Does that make sense to you? It makes perfect sense to me. You know, you can resent somebody for making you make decisions that you don't want to make, or living a life you don't want to live. And you shouldn't be in that position. If you are living a life where you are looking after your health concerns, where you're looking after your diet, your exercise, your social engagement, then your children's concerns are probably around the future, because they're seeing parents of their friends who are falling, parents of their friends who are getting sick, parents of their friends who are so far away, and their adult children feel so terribly guilty because they're not there to help. They're not there to make a difference. They're not there to sort of guide the path. That's why your adult children are concerned. So have those conversations. Be open to what they're saying. And you really have to listen. Listen to hear what they're saying. Don't listen to respond. There's a difference. If you're listening to respond, then you're taking in what they're saying only to the extent that you start crafting the reason why you shouldn't or why they're wrong. Listen to actually hear what their concerns are. Their concern is that you'll fall. Okay, so hey, let's go through the house together and let's fix the fall things. You know, let's pick up the throw rugs, let's install the grab bars, let's make sure the railings are secure, let's do whatever needs to be done. You know, let's train the dog or make sure the cat knows to move. You know, you can mitigate that concern and help your adult children breathe a little easier. If your children are concerned because you have to give up your driver's license, and now how are you going to get to the doctor's appointment? How are you going to get to see your friends? How are you going to do life? Mitigate that concern. Show them that you can take transit. Show them that you have established an account with a cab company. Show them that your neighbor has agreed to drive you here and there, or that there is a bus that runs around town that picks people up to take them to the senior center to have a social time and maybe a lunch together, that sort of thing. You can mitigate these concerns. Not all of them, because they're always going to worry. I mean, as parents, didn't we always worry about our children when they were little? When they're born, at the moment they are born, you start to worry. It's just the nature of parenting. But now the roles are reversed, and that may feel a little weird to you, but you can't help them from worrying. They do it out of love. They do it out of concern. So the fact that you have no idea what to do tells me that you don't have a good handle on what your future may be. You're maybe just letting your future happen a bit too much, and letting your future just happen without setting goals yourself is maybe not the best thing. So, sit down and do some thinking about it. It's not going to happen overnight either. It's not something you can do in an hour. It's something that you're going to take a bit of time to do. Think about what your goals are and how you're going to achieve them. So when we were younger, our goal was to get such and such a job or to live in this style of house. Now your goals are going to be around staying independent and staying safe and staying healthy. So what are your goals and how are you going to achieve them? Share that with your children, and they may have some input for you about how they can help you achieve them, or how, it would make me feel better, Mom, if you did this, not that. And you can consider it. And, life is a compromise. What you don't want, and I've said this many times, is for you to get to a point in your life where something happens and the decisions start to be made for you by someone else who doesn't understand what your goals and hopes and dreams are. And that can even be your adult children. If you haven't communicated with them, how are they to know? So have these conversations with them. But do keep in mind the positive thought that aging is an individual experience. You are not going to age the same way as your friend who passed away or your friend who wants to go jump out of an airplane. You're going to age your way. Okay? That is your question. Now, the second question about your daughter who wants you to come and live with her and her husband an hour and a half away, same kind of thing. She's concerned. Communicate with her. Maybe at some point going to live with her will be a thing, but this business of setting up a whole new social network when you've got a social network is very concerning. As we age, we kind of depend and glom onto those relationships in a way we didn't when we were in our 20s and 30s and 40s. They become perhaps fewer, but deeper. And those relationships take on a new kind of meaning. And to just up and leave them may not be the best for you emotionally. If you move away from them, that also puts a great deal of pressure on your daughter and her husband to be your all. And I'll bet you they haven't thought about that. But you should think about that on their behalf. How much do you really want to depend on them? You're an hour and a half away from your friends, you're in a strange town, living in a strange neighborhood, albeit with family who love you, of course, but it puts a lot of pressure on everybody to be everything for each other. And that might not be what suits you at this point in time. Maybe it is. Again, we all age differently. And you need to have those conversations with one another and be absolutely open and honest and transparent. I mean, maybe you got a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you don't want to leave them. Maybe you're thinking of maybe moving in with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or with a group of friends. You decide that you want to move in with them because you don't want to infringe on your adult children's lives. Remember, your adult children only have so much time in their life. If they're at a point in their lives where they have job hopes, career aspirations, if they are still raising teenage children, or maybe they've got children who are off in college, how much time do they really have to spend with you? And how much of that time do they see devoting to you before it becomes a burden? I've said this before. For a lot of families, it's one thing to take mom to the grocery store once a week, or to take dad to his doctor's appointment once a month. But that once a week and once a month has a way of turning into once a day and several hours a day. And our adult children can get very squeezed between their lives and our lives and not have any time for themselves. It is ever so important that we communicate with our adult children and make sure that they're having time to live their lives and that you still get to be mom or dad. I noticed we were having an increasing number of male viewers recently, so I don't want to fail to acknowledge them as though they are part of this discussion, because they are. Our adult children want their moms to be their moms and their dads to be their dads. They don't necessarily want to parent their parents. They may think they know what's best for us, but if we have thought through our lives and what we want for our lives, and we are very clear that they are our children, our adult children, but still our children, it can be a really relieving thing for all of us, a weight that comes off our shoulders when our adult children understand that we can still be there as mom or dad for them, and that our expectations are not that we're going to become their parent and their caregiver. Now, might we at some point down the road? Yep, this is an ongoing discussion, and you don't know what the future holds for anybody. But for right now, you are writing me because you don't want to move in with your adult daughter and her husband. So figure out what you do want in your life and have that conversation with your adult children, not as in it's a negotiation. No. You're not negotiating your life. Somebody chose to move away, an hour and a half away, and they did it for really good reasons. And those reasons need to be respected. And we need to understand that there are consequences to every decision we make. The consequence of the decision to move an hour and a half away is that you're an hour and a half away, which means you're not just down the street if one or the other is in need of something. Have those open conversations, okay? The third one is the condo. Yeah, a couple of years ago, I sold my house and I moved into an apartment not too far from where my house was. And I also bought a condo that is closer to where one of my children is. Guess who gets to be mama's caregiver? No, not my caregiver. Anyway, how did I pick the condo? Well, you know, I looked for a lot of things in a place that I would buy. This particular development had a lot of them on the property. It's a whole development on the property, and lots of condos, lots of entertainment, restaurants. On the property, there is a grocery store, there's a coffee shop, there is an LCBO, there are at least 3 restaurants with more opening all the time. There is, I think, a clothing shop coming. There's also a pet groomer place coming. There are lots of activities. There's a whole exercise facility being built. There are tennis courts. There are lots of plans in the future. This whole property is not done building yet. But one of the really important things to me is that I can get from my condo down to where the retail area is without doing a single step. I can take steps. There are stairs, but I don't have to. So if at any point stairs become problematic, got it covered. I can get down there without doing any stairs. And the area of the development that I've chosen to live in is very close to the whole retail area. There are other areas of the development that are further away where you would probably need to get in a car and go. Although the development has a little shuttle as well, and I can just call the shuttle and they'll come and get me and take me to wherever I need to go within the development. They will also take me to the train station, which is outside of the development, but I can get on a train and I can go to major cities. There's a major city an hour south. I could go to a place that lets me hop on another train and get to the airport, major airport. And there's a transit system in the major city. There is a secondary city just outside of the development. So lots of shopping, taxis, transit, the whole 9 yards. So, it's very well positioned for me to be able to do whatever it is I need to do, whether or not I have a car and a driver's license in the future. So, a lot of things that went into that. It is about 840 square feet, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, so I can have company. I'm in the process of turning that second bedroom into an office with a pull-out bed so that I can work there and make good use of the space, but also have company. So, you really have to think pretty carefully. I had been thinking for some time about what my future home might look like because my house was becoming too burdensome. My children had moved away, so really I didn't need a 2,000 square foot house. I didn't need the property. So, caring for it, cleaning it, paying the bills for rooms I wasn't using, it all kind of factored into my decision. But you don't want to just sort of randomly buy something. Like buying a smaller house would still leave me with property maintenance to do, and I didn't want to do that. Some people like to do that. I did not want to do that. So, you have to make up your own list, but we all age differently, and we all have different needs and different wants and different hopes and dreams. So to all of the people who took the time to write these 3 emails, and there were others, but they're kind of in the same vein, I would tell you that what you need to do is really have a good hard think about what you want for your future. The negotiation is with yourself alone, with your partner if you've got one too, of course, but it is either you or the two of you deciding what you want for yourselves and telling your adult children what you're doing, listening to their concerns and doing your best to mitigate them, but not wanting to be influenced to the point where at some point down the road you're going to resent what you will come to see as interference. I guarantee you will come to see it as interference. And, I did what you wanted, but now I'm miserable. Life is too short. Don't be miserable. Don't make decisions. Don't let other people make decisions for you. Make your own decisions, but make sure you base them on your own desire for independence, keeping in mind safety and health. All right? Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next Wednesday at 12 noon, right here on the Oldish TV. Until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and do remember that it takes a village to age a senior. Bye, everybody.